A large part of human communication is status frame control, because he who controls the status frame in a conversation controls the outcome. It's no different when we're working into a doctor's office and we're answering every single question they have versus we're meeting a homeless person and we don't give him the time of day. That's status framing. And if you have been feeling like you're losing control in your sales conversations, it's because you're not establishing a clear frame. Today, we're gonna fix that by taking a hard look at the 7 psychological status frames people use on us, how to combat them, and how to break them step by step. This is Chris Oguris. I produce more than 8 videos in sales online. Let's dive in. So let's go through the 7 status frames of human communication, because the thing is, in life, I don't care if you're selling enterprise level software in the hundreds of thousands, or you're trying to get your kids to go to bed, you're being persuaded or you're persuading. There is no in between. Manipulation is part of our day-to-day, and understanding the 7 frames is a key piece for you to be able to achieve mastery in human communication. So let's dive in. The first frame is the power frame. These are high status authority individuals. They come into the sales conversation and they try to dominate or show how important they are. How we break those frames are through denial, defiance, or reluctance. I'm gonna tell you my favorite one and my favorite ways of doing things, but I'll give you all the different ways, because remember, these are things that they can be used against you. So pay close attention. We're gonna unpack everything in those 7 frames. And when it comes to the denial piece, for example, power frame individual comes in and they say, I'm just here to find out about your prices. I don't want to answer questions. Just give me your prices. You just say, no, I won't be able to do that. And you move forward with the questions. When it comes to defiance, you can have an individual where they come in, you ask them different questions, take them through the sales process, but they're still not convinced. And they say something like, just sell me. Tell me why I should go with. You reply by saying, well, we spent the last hour going over that. So if you're not convinced by now, there's nothing more I can do, really. So this is where you eliminate the neediness and you show them that you're not here to hard sell them. You've gone through your process. That's all I have for you. Like, where do you want to go from here? And there's also reluctance. So with the reluctant stance, again, you can have an individual where they say, the power frame, where they say, yeah, I'm just here, pitch me. I don't know if we're going to make a switch now, but pitch me. And if I like it, I'll let you know. You can say something like, well, it seems like even if you liked what you heard, you wouldn't mind because you seem happy with your current vendor. So never mind, let's continue this conversation when it's relevant. So essentially, I'm taking away the cards from the table instead of just showing him, which card do you like? Do you like this one? Do you like that one? I'm taking off the cards off the table and I want to see if they save the sale for themselves. Now, let's look into the time frame. This is similar, but these are individuals who are trying to show you that their time is more important than yours. So they try to rush you, they're too busy to speak with you, and they try to cut corners, they don't answer questions, and they try to push the conversation forward. So how you break it is you use time frame with humor, moral authority frame, or price frame. And we're going to talk all about this. So time frame, when you have individuals, they've booked in for 30 minutes or an hour with you, and they say something like, I only have 15 minutes. Now, the typical way of doing things to break that frame is you can say, oh good, I only have 12, so let's get started. I'm not in love with that, because again, it's a game of I have 15 minutes, oh good, I have 12, oh now my assistant tells me that I only have 10, and you have this cat and mouse game, right? Instead, we move into the moral authority frame, where we're positioning ourselves as superiors by becoming the moral authority. I'm gonna show you how. When people say, well, these are too many questions, I don't have time for all these questions, let's just get to the point, shall we? You say something like, well, I can appreciate that, but in order for me to see if we can help, this is the process that I need to follow, and as of now, I'm not quite sure if we can help you yet. Now, we can end the conversation now if you're not comfortable, but I'd have to know quite a few more. Is that fair enough with you? So now what you've done is, again, you've showed them that you don't need this conversation, but if that person wants to be helped, they're gonna have to answer more questions. So now you're the moral authority by showing them that, hey, I'm just here to help. So help me help you. And the price frame is when you shift the tables and you become the prize. They are not the prize, they're not important. You become the prize by saying, hey, I have the solution to your problem. Do you want it or not? And the language that you can use is something like, okay, so if you're short on time, let us both save some time, and you qualify them hard. So you ask a hard qualification question. If you're selling business growth products, you can ask something like, okay, so let us both save some time and tell me, like, what's your current revenue? Because we don't really work with anyone under 7 figures. So you hard qualify them there, you have them prove themselves to you, and you continue the conversation from there. The moral authority frame. Now this is a tricky one because you can use that against power individuals or time frames, but when people use it on you, it can be a little bit tricky. So I'm going to show you how you can break that. These are people who are highly emotional. They are always think that they're doing the right thing, and typically they're people who are uncomfortable being sold. So, are you trying to sell me? Because I don't like being sold. So they want to bend you to their will because they're always right. How you break that frame is you use a narrative frame, higher authority frame, or a reverse moral authority. So in the narrative frame, you have to tell a story about larger organizations that have faced similar issues as them. So you can say something like, oh, well, I'm not trying to sell anyone, but when Google came to us with X and Y and Z problems, this is exactly how we help them. So would you be opposed to having a conversation to see if we can help you? A higher authority frame, or backed by a higher authority, is when you use proof to prove what you're talking about. So if they're trying to, play the card of, oh, we're unique, our mission is to change the world, and I don't think your process really works for us because we really value, impact over revenue. You can simply say something like, oh yeah, just like my clients X and Y and Z who have the exact same missions and they were able to scale past your current challenges. So these are things that we typically help people with for sure. So that's how you reverse the tables all on them, right? Can you see how powerful that is by saying, yeah, and you're being very nonchalant about it. Like you're not making a big deal out of it, you're just deflecting their point by saying this is exactly what I do, so don't worry. And also, you can also reverse, the last bit, reverse moral authority, is when you flip actually the tables. So you make them feel bad about what they're doing in the conversation and play the victim. So you can ask them what they would do in your shoes. For example, if they give you an objection as in, yeah, this all sounds fine, just let me think about it because this is how we make decisions. You can say something like that, that's not a problem. May I ask, if a client came to you and they had a problem, you knew in your heart that you could help them, but they tell you, let me think about it. What would you do in my shoes? So can you see how powerful that can be when essentially you're switching roles with them? Now, they have to answer their own objection in a lot of ways. And it doesn't have to happen only in objection handling. This is even when they feel offended by something you said, or they don't want to answer questions, flip the tables, and the house of cards falls. Let's move into the analyst frame. So these are very rational, logical, detailed individuals, and they tend to slow down the deal by digging in too much into the numbers. So these are typically COOs, CFOs, CTOs. How to break that is with the moral authority frame, with the intrigue frame, or the narrative frame. So with the moral authority frame is you have to reframe, and this whole analyst frame, you combat it by reframing and taking them out of the numbers and pulling them up to see the big picture. So with the moral authority frame, you say something like, yeah, some of the biggest companies in the world have worked with us and they've had zero problems with what you've used. So regardless with the numbers, if we've helped already X and Y and Z, why do you feel it wouldn't work for you though? So now you took them out of the numbers and you're telling them, hey, these are the exact problems that I've consistently helped people with. With the intrigue, you want to intrigue them by maximizing or minimizing the numbers. So you can say something like, well, we can look at the numbers all day. They are important, you're right, but they are not critical to the deal. May I show you why? Even if we gave you a fourth of those numbers, for example, we're promising that we're gonna increase revenue by 20%, but if we increase the revenue by 5%, wouldn't it be worth for you guys? So what you've done is you've showed them that the numbers are not really that important, because even if you get them a fourth of those results, they're still gonna get ROI. So they have a big aha moment. These guys, you're right, we're overcomplicating it, because even if we don't hit that promised target, we're still way ahead. And the narrative is essentially you want to switch them from that rational brain to the emotional brain by telling a story. So you're saying something like, yeah, of course, like I totally understand that you want to look at X and Y and Z numbers, but at the end of the day, you're a company in, helping chiropractors grow. When an agency who helped chiropractors just like you, they were struggling with long sales cycles, lack of lead generation, because notoriously chiropractors are very hard to reach. So how we fix that for them? So essentially now what I've done is I've took them into a narrative through a similar company with very similar problems to them, and now I'm gonna weave in my story, my proof elements, so I can essentially become more hypnotic and help them reframe from the rational point of view to the emotional point of view. The price frame. The price frame is something that we have as a goal to always be the price. So we create the price frame by making our offer hyper selective, introducing scarcity and shifting their focus, and never also giving anything away for free. It has to be an exchange when you're negotiating. So with the scarcity, you pretty much say, we're really busy at the moment and we have to be super selective on who we bring on because of the time requirements of our service. Now, I don't want you to lie with this, right? But naturally, every company has some sort of scarcity. For example, if you have an agency or if you have a product, if I gave you 1,000 new customers or 1,000 new clients tomorrow, could you handle all of them? No. Or if you could, what about 2,000? What about 5,000? There is a number where your systems would start shaking. So naturally, there is a scarcity going on. You can use that to your advantage when it comes to becoming the price. So if we look at also, if we blend in progression here, someone asks as an example for a free trial. Well, we don't really do free trials. In order for us to approve a free trial, we need to know that you're serious. So can you tell me what you're hoping to accomplish with the free trial? Or if they ask for something to add to the deal, let's say a longer time frame, or I want an additional month to the program. Can you tell me what you're hoping to achieve by adding a month? Because we don't really do that here. We're really busy and our dance card is usually full. Like, what I want you to picture with the price frame is that you're a doctor, you have a patient in front of you, and right behind you, out of that closed door, there are a line of patients waiting to be served. So if that particular patient, you're giving him the medicine and he's like, what color is the pill? And when can I take it? And they have 1,000 questions that are not really relevant to them getting help. Essentially, what would you do? You would tell them, hey, these are perfectly fair questions, but I have a lot of people waiting, so why don't we just postpone this meeting because I have a lot of people to talk to. And now people feel that scarcity. They see you as the prize versus them being the prize and getting all the attention and us begging them to buy. And also it's always about, this happens throughout the conversation, it's about focusing, shifting their focus. So instead of when guys or people come in and they tell you, hey, I'm ready for the pitch, hit me with it. You have to shift the attention and put it back on the prospect. So you have to say something like, okay, well, why don't you guys tell us more about yourselves first? And I'm happy to unpack more things about you, but I have to have proper context first in order for me to see if this is even a fit. So you become the price, you're not giving anything away from free, and you hold your ground. The commodity frame. So these are people who are trying to put you in a box. So, you don't need to explain. I know exactly what you guys do. Just give me the price. These are typically people who get pitched your service all the time. And how we break it is we either cluster the message, and I'm going to show you how, or the intrigue frame. So how you cluster the message is that's when people make wild assumptions about your service in order to devalue it. So if let's say I have an editing agency, a video editing agency, right? Prospect could say, oh, I know you guys outsource to the Philippines, so yeah, give me the cheap price. You have to smash that right then and there so they can stop devaluing you. Don't try to push it under the table or, throw it under the carpet because it's gonna bite you in the behind. Instead, you put the truth on the table and you say, well, some agencies might outsource to Philippines or some agencies might cut corners. We don't do that here. How we do things, and you can educate them on your exact process. This is where in premium luxury goods, the price a lot of times is much higher. Like it can be 10x versus a more commodity product. There needs to be a lot more education, right? Like watches, you can have a $20 watch, and you can have a $200,000 watch. In the $200,000 watch, there needs to be a lot of education in order for us to shift the focus from, oh, this just tells the time, to being, oh, this is a piece of art and this is why it's worth that much. So this is where you have to cluster the message. In the intrigue frame is also, we have to talk about how difficult it is to do what you do. So you can talk about what's changing in the industry and trends and how it will affect them and their business. As an example, if we go back to the video editing agency, they can talk about, oh, what do you guys do at the end of the day? Like, you use this software and you do this simple edit and you're done. You have to say something like, well, yeah, that could have been the case about 5 years ago, but now, if you don't have the proper storytelling skill set and you don't come out the right hooks, and you're also not using the right market desires to craft the message so the editing blends in naturally, your videos are going to fail. So that's why we make sure that we do this and that in order for us to get your results. So now what I've done is I've unpacked a unique mechanism on how I do things, and I've educated them a little bit about the industry standards, what's working now, so they can really see that, hey, it's not that simple what I do. And the last frame is the intrigue frame, and this is something that we use on people. So this is where we have to act as insiders in the industry, right? People who can speak about the intricacies and talk about market trends. So as we discussed a little bit earlier, talk about the difficulty, how hard what you do is, and the technicalities of it. Talk about the industry, like what are the new trends in the industry, what's working now, and how it exactly affects the prospect and their business. You can talk about also things only insiders know, conversations you've had with others, and what you really know. Like, as an example, I had an 8-figure business owner come to me, probably a couple of months ago, and he's like, hey, we've been trying to sell by chat, but we're only closing at 3%. And I just said, well, do you guys have a nurturing doc, like a sales asset right before the pitch? Because people have become much more skeptical now. So you have to make sure that you're anchoring the price in their mind before you hit them with it, because people are going to be spending less and less, and they're going to think twice before spending on high ticket. So what I've done for that person, of course he knew, liked, and trusts me, so it wasn't necessarily a sale, but what I'm trying to show you is I have some insider info, because I'm selling for different people and I'm working with different clients, and I'm seeing behind the scenes of many organizations. I'm able to educate them and show them that, hey, this is what's changing in the market. Are you making sure that you're ahead as well? So this is pretty much it. 7 status frames of human communication. If you want, as always, my one-on-one help, reach out, book a call with me, or on Instagram, DM me, and let's have a conversation about how I can possibly help. And if you've seen more than 2 videos, hey, what are you waiting for? Drop a like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.